And welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing. If this is something you end up enjoying, you never know, it could happen. Anyway, I'm trucking along on my 100 top fantasy books of all time. It is definitely subject to change, but this is it for now. I'm reading new books all the time, and so this list is just constantly changing, but at some point you just got to commit and make it happen. And so that's what we're doing here. Today we've got 70 through 61, so we're going to get through this. We're getting to some really, really good books here. Starting out, let's jump into it. First thing we're jumping into is going to be A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is really one that I got into way late in the game, in my fantasy reading career, as you could call it. But it's one of those that it has a lot of the tropes, but I feel like that were copied from it. But the problem is when you read it later, then it's hard not to be like, well, I've seen some of these things before. At the same time, it's really good. It's really well done. Everything is done to the height of what these tropes are. And also, part of my problem is that I've only read this one book, so I need to read more in the series. Are you hearing a pattern here? Speaking of that pattern, we've got book number 69, The Black Company, just book one in this series, because that's all I've read, and that's why it's part of that pattern. But I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I know Stephen Erickson, who's author of the Malazan Book of the Fallen, is a huge fan and kind of attributes at least some inspiration from this, and I really saw it. You take out, or you just kind of only have the Marines part of the Malazan, kind of what Black Company is, and a little bit of that throw you into the thick of things and figure it out as you go. I definitely need to read more. I have been planning on it, and I easily get distracted. Then we've got classic here, The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. Ende, as we know, because Michael Ende, I should say, because it's German. We got a German here, and it's good. The first half is definitely the first movie. The second half, the second movie took some inspiration from, but this gets way weirder. And so that's probably why it's so far down the list, frankly, but it's still up there. It's still really good, and anything on this list really is a favorite. But this one gets weird. It had some great nostalgia for me, but then it gets weird and just really odd. Love Falkor. Atreyu, right? I think I'm still reeling over some issue, some really sad moments in the movie. But anyway, this is a classic for a reason, but it gets super weird in the book. All right, for some reason, I do not have a copy of this, but I've read it, I promise. Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. This is a classic. It is so good. And it's, I hear the show's really good. I've been meaning, I watched like the first episode or something and then just never got back to it. It's excellent. Good Omens is it's got that great sense of humor, the sense of magic that only Neil Gaiman can really, I feel like Neil Gaiman's got this just magical writing. Terry Pratchett is hilarious, and it's such a good combination of both of their strengths together in one. It's definitely darker than like Pratchett usually goes, and it's funnier than Gaiman usually goes, and more tongue-in-cheek, and so it really is a good combination. And, Good Omens. Then we've got The Bloody Chorus. The Bloody Chorus by John Marco. Absolutely love this one. This might end up higher on my list the more I think about it, but I did just read it pretty recently, at least this year. This is not the last you're going to see of John Marco. He is a favorite author of mine for a reason. I absolutely love this. It might just be because I want more. But I cannot recommend this book highly enough. He independently published it, so it was his own publishing. Definitely support indie authors. That's what I definitely recommend. But I love this cover. Love that's a dragon whale right there. You get a world with dragon whales and craziness. There's sea stuff, ships and stuff, but it's not just that. There's political intrigue. There's lots of other things going on here, and so it has a lot of good fantasy elements with just some unique takes that I love. It's the beauty of independent publishing, is that you can go I'm going to do stuff that maybe a traditional publisher might not think is sellable, but I think it is, and that's why I'm here, and I'm here for, because I love a good, weird, interesting, just different story than the mainstream. I don't know, something about my old age or something, but I love the new and the different, and this is absolutely a great world to get to dive into. Then another one I do not have a copy of, but this was a great one that, again, I just read this year. It was recommended. I did a poll. I just kind of randomly was like, hey, I'm gonna let my audience choose. And you did me right. You didn't do me wrong. You did me fully right, and I really appreciate it. Because out of the 5 books that I posted, this was easily the winner. It was The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, and holy cow, it was so good. It's really just this interesting story about essentially, well, these 2 really good friends, almost brothers, that become famous for their own reasons, I guess you could say, and become on opposite sides of a political divide and clash, and there's just so much going on here. It's so many political intrigues here. I absolutely loved it, and I love the kind of Asian-inspired milieu instead of your typical just medieval fantasy, right? Medieval European fantasy. So it's really great in that respect too. All right, for number 64, we've got Discworld. This is just a part of my collection, but I thought it'd be funny to pull the whole thing out. I'm dropping them. I am 6 books in. I'm loving it. But I hear I haven't even reached the really good one, and that's the good ones, and that's probably why it's here on the list, and it may be somewhere. I know good friends of mine have this as Terry Pratchett. Discworld is like top 10. So anyway, I'm excited for that. I haven't even gotten to the good ones yet, but I have read The Color of Magic, The Light Fantastic, Equal Rights, Mort, Sorcery, and then I jumped one ahead. I was going publication order, as you can tell. And then I jumped one ahead to Pyramids, and I'm on Weird Sisters next. I haven't even gotten to Guards or Small Gods, and I hear just some great things about those, but I'm excited. It was enough that I went full in on buying up all of the books that I can find. Then, for some reason, I misplaced my Legend book, but I have one of them, Dress the Legend by David Gemmell. Number 63 on my list. Absolutely love Legend. It's great, but again, with my common theme here, I've only read the one. Read the one book, enough to be able to speak about it with people online and be like, I've at least experienced this. I've experienced the world. I can talk about it a little bit with hopefully little spoilers. I like, just the kind of different take on it. It's very straightforward though. You get right into the action, and just some good themes and of kind of like sticking to it that still stayed with me to this day. This has been years. I mean, we're talking over a decade easy since I read it. And I still think about it, and again, made me buy up. I could do almost the same thing with my Legend books, with my David Gemmell books in the Dress the Legend series. All right, then we've got number 62. This is going to be Night Angel, The Way of Shadows is what I got here. I've got the whole trilogy. Absolutely, this is one where I think I'd been struggling a little bit, and this got me kind of back in again. You have to every now and then have a struggle session, and then you get back into reading. And this was one of those. I just started law school, and it was a struggle. Part of why I went to law school was like, I like reading, I could do this, and then it was like, okay, this really is killing my reading. That was not a good call. But anyway, I learned a lot about law being not a good call. The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. Anyway, this whole trilogy, it's absolutely fun. I still don't like the covers. I just think they're so hokey and fake, and I love a good, drawn cover. Just doesn't look as lame. It just seems so lame to me. And I swear it looks like Hayden Christensen in there. Tell me that's not Hayden Christensen in there. It really feels like it. But just really fun. Hope you're okay with a little bit of Deus Ex Machina. Definitely some of that going on. But it's still a blast. Just the pages just float by, and it's so much fun to read. You know, assassin with the heart of gold trope. Who doesn't love that? I do, and this is one of those. Kind of goofy names and stuff like that. I mean, I could go on and on about all the issues that I have. You know, a little too close, maybe some ways, to the Wheel of Time, possibly. But if you, again, go down that road, you're going to see a lot of those similarities. But at the same time, it reads much faster, it's all much quicker, and it is definitely its own story. So lots of fun. All right, this is a classic. One of the things that got me reading the original series actually was this anthology. And I know some might consider it science fiction. I just felt like it's more magic. There's like wizards and stuff, and it is a dying Earth. It is kind of like, has some kind of science fiction elements to it. But I absolutely loved this anthology. I got this one of my first review copies that I received while I was blogging back in the day, and I just absolutely ate this up. I mean, some of these stories in here are just some of my all-time favorite stories. They're so much fun. But what got me was to reading more Dying Earth in the actual original series, which is so classic. It's so well told. I love the prose in it. I love the kind of just ideas of, I mean, a wizard only being able to hold like 5 spells total, and there's just all these like crazy kind of things. And I mean, Cudgel the Clever, I mean, just alone, and just some of these, just the names in here are so good. Like, I love some of these names are just like so fantastical. I just feel like it really just pulls you into the story. So absolutely a classic for a reason. That was number 61. That is my list. We're heading toward the middle of the pack, and you're still with me. Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying it to some degree. Hopefully you're finding some reads you hadn't thought of before or hadn't considered. And I'm just having a blast here. I'm having fun talking about and pulling out books from my shelf. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing. We'll catch you next time. Bye.